Hello, my name is Yasmeen. I'm a graduate student in the MSUD program at Georgia Institute of Technology. And today I'm glad to take you with me on a trip down memory lane through one of my favorite streets in Cairo called Al-Mu'izz Street. Al-Mu'izz Street is one of the oldest thoroughfares in Cairo. It dates back to the Fatimid era where it was known as Al-Qasaba, and it was basically the main connector of the city from the northern end to the southern end. The northern end where you enter through Bab al-Futuh and Bab al-Nasr, all the way to the southern end where you exit or enter through Bab Zuwayla. And the reason why I'm attached to this street specifically is because of how compact and diverse it is. I consider it sort of an open-air museum to a rich architecture, a rich urban fabric, and a really interesting cultural, social outlook on what I would say the core of life in Cairo. And this attachment started when I first visited it under the Islamic architecture course that I was taking in my undergraduate degree. And it's just this feeling of serenity and the fact that every time I walk through the street, every time I walked through that street afterwards, I would always find something new. I would always discover something new that I haven't seen before, whether it's a small architectural detail, ornamentation, a fenestration, a new door that I have not seen before, an alleyway that is just rich with historic details, or simply the everyday life of the vendors that are distributed all along the street. It keeps me wanting to come back and discover more. I have four favorite architectural buildings along the street. The first being Al Hakim Mosque, and the reason why I love this mosque is because it is architecturally one of the simplest, most minimalistic design of a mosque. It's all in white marble, and the design gives you sort of a disconnection from the nearby really vibrant streets. It gives you a feeling of quietness and serenity that is really beautiful to experience. My second favorite building would be Beit al-Sahimi. I consider this an architectural gem, a residential gem, because the unique design of it, even though it was built back in 1648, is considered quite sustainable. We always hear about the need to ventilate, to provide maximum shading, or to have maximum daylighting, and we in modern days use a lot of technological advances to help us achieve this in the design of a building. When Beit al-Sahimi, the house of Sahimi, was basically designed with these sustainable considerations back in the 17th century. My third favorite complex, as you walk further, and I'm really taking you here on sort of on my favorite art buildings as you walk through the street. So this is something that you might want to look forward to as you walk to the street. And the third being the Qalawun complex. It is one of the most unique complexes ever. So a complex is basically a building that has a madrasa, which was a school back in the Fatimid era for the boys, basically, in the city, which was usually typically taught by imams. It also has a mausoleum, and it has a mosque, and it has the Qalawun complex has this really unique design. It has a lot of ornamentation and detailing, and whether from the marble to the wood, from the mihrab to the very first entrance door to the complex, you are in constant awe of how beautiful and how carefully designed it is. Exiting the southern end of Zuwayla, you walk a little bit and then you get into my fourth and most favorite part of Mu'izz Street, and that is the Sultan Hassan Mosque. And aside from the monumental effect this grandiose scale of mosque has on you as an architect or even a tourist, I would say it has what I call an acoustic miracle. It was acoustically designed so that the Imam would not have to use a mic. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Time when technological advances were not present. Aside from the architectural buildings that I like, I really admire the urban fabric and urban formation of Al-Mu'izz Street. I really admire how it continues straight, and it was designed in a way where all buildings actually respect the Mu'izz Street alignment rather than shifting or slightly curving. You would walk straight from the northern to the southern end, and you would notice how all buildings were intentionally aligned to ensure that straight path. Because this was the main public street in the city. And even mosques, despite the fact that mosques have to be aligned to the Qibla, which is the direction of our prayer, the initial part of the mosques would always be tilted to respect this alignment, and this is one of the details that I really respect. There's also this diversity in terms of the land use. You would find residential, you would find markets, you would find mosques, you would find complexes along the street. And finally, my most favorite part of the street is the social cohesion of everyday life that you see walking through the street. Till this very day, the street is filled with local vendors selling really simple ornaments, Ramadan lanterns, the special tent fabric that Egypt is known for, really small businesses that usually belong to the nearby residents of the area. And I think that's really important because it did not allow an urban encroachment of the everyday modern markets that we see. In fact, it kept this localized mixture of social class and simple introduction of vendors and markets. Thank you for watching the video, and I really hope the way that I described Mu'izz Street really made you curious about visiting such a unique place in Cairo.